Yeah, it was
Pentagon.
like the UFO for phenomena is real.
This is the Kill-Dozer Comedy Podcast, featuring true crime, amazing events, conspiracies, unsolved mysteries, and an array of weird and wonderful topics, all for your enjoyment. You're welcome.
And that proves that even people that you would trust with your life can, at some point, go fucking crazy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the Kill-Dozer Comedy Podcast. This is the show where two comedians attempt to talk about serious situations in a not-so-serious manner.
Mm-hmm.
I am your comedic babyface and all-around creative force behind all things KD Comedy in KD Hinken, and I am joined by the creator of the post-apocalyptic metal treehouse, the man of 1,000 voices, and not all of them are in his head. I remembered it again this time, Mr. Nathan. Fuck, how have I still not learned to do that? Nathan Parish.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah. It's been one of them weeks, mate. Yeah.
It really has been one of weeks. Very much so for the both of us, to be fair, yeah. I mean, we will get into a lot more about the stuff we've been doing as we go on, but there was one thing I wanted to bring to you right at the beginning because I saw it and I thought it was so interesting because it's something we've talked about a lot lately, like the whole, the more traction with the media with the UFO videos coming out.
Now I've only seen one tiny thing about this, and believe it or not, it was via another comedian's YouTube video, and I was watching it, and it's like, oh, they just mentioned this. It's like, oh, okay, shit. Shit.
Well, what are you on about?
You go ahead. No, you go ahead and say it, my friend, because it's not just a normal dude who's saying this shit.
We are definitely on the same line in that case.
It's a motherfucking POTUS.
It's not only a POTUS, but let's be fair, it's one of the more respected ones. Not just more respected presidents over the last 10 years or 20 years. Just one of the more respected people in general, from high up in government. Anyone who doesn't know, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
The long-legged Mac Daddy himself came out and confirmed that. What was it?
Is that the way you actually pronounce it? Is that? It sounds like a fucking parrot.
I swear it's off. I can't take credit for it. It's off. What is this? That program that Nick Cannon does, where they're all insulting each other on MTV and that. I know the name.
Roast Battle, is it?
No, not Roast Battle. It's not Don't Flop. It's like Wilding Out.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, if you've never seen it, watch it. It's so good. It's like two teams of comedians just insulting into each other, basically doing little games and that.
That sounds all right. Yeah.
It's like comedians and rappers, and so it goes quite fun.
We've got a different kind of episode today for multiple reasons. Partly because there's shit that's happened, but also because I'm not drinking whiskey today. No, today in What's Nathan Drinking, it is merely beer.
Oh my
beer,
God.
a Moretti. Yeah.
One day drinking whiskey, going to the beer. The next day you'll be drinking fucking antifreeze out of a homeless man's shoe. It's just a start. But so back to what we were saying though, Barack Obama fucking confirming. I don't think we ever actually explained what we were talking about.
Didn't even get to there, no.
No. Barack Obama, just in that video, it was just some news thing, wasn't it? He just confirmed all of these as being legit, basically, as being actual UFO sightings from the government, from the Pentagon.
Yeah, it was like, the UFO for phenomena is real. So deal with it.
Basically, yeah. I like the fact that basically he was emphasizing that he didn't know what it was either. They weren't trying to say it is aliens. I don't think he ever said aliens in it, basically, because they were saying, he didn't confirm it was aliens or anything. I was like, no, he can't say it's aliens. They can't see a little green dude or whatever he is. It is because they probably
it's an unidentified flying object, and if we can assume that no one else has got the technology, then solve for X, basically.
And it's a type of technology.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I didn't knew that one.
that one deserved its airtime, to be honest.
That one's staying in.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, if any other fucking we've said this before, if any other government had that technology, we'd know. It'd be ridiculous.
Oh Yeah, you don't hide that shit. And if they did, then the Americans would definitely have found the technology or some way to do it. You know what I mean? And that means that it wouldn't be a UFO anymore. They would know exactly what it was and how it was there. You know.
And I watched something before we came on that was explaining, because a lot of people say, is this just, especially with Black as well, saying it now. But it's obviously it's going away from what I've seen. But some people say, like, is it just a ploy for the government to get money in that? But it's the news thing I watched, and it just makes the point. It's like there have been so many easier ways for them to try and make money, get extra funding than that. So many easier ways.
Yeah, and it's only been getting more and more each time we hear about it. It's like, we're releasing these kinds of files, and they're just a huge amount of massive written files. And then it's, we're releasing these videos, and then we're releasing a couple more videos which are better, quality.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're getting more and more people going, yeah, there's something going on here. We don't know what the UFOs are. They definitely exist, including the CIA and shit. And after a while, you can't really ignore what's going on, if you know what I mean. And it would be interesting if that's sort of...
Because there's always been a fight against it, hasn't there, from the general public? Not so much the public, but the mainstream media. It's seen as a joke and that, but now it's starting to... Like, I think... I think it's America still more, so I haven't seen it over here yet, but I know 60 Minutes did a big thing on it, where they interviewed the David Fravor, the Tic Tac guy, the one who's on Rogan, and that's apparently started kicking it off. I think that's where the Barack Obama thing came from after that.
I mean, it's the only thing that can't really be disproven as a concept, if you know what I mean. There's ways to disprove like ghosts and dragons and things like that. I mean, you can argue different, you can argue toss on some of them, but there's nothing in science at all that says that you can't have an alien species that is capable of things that we are not capable of.
Yeah, if anything, science supports that idea. I completely support that idea. It doesn't, if anything, it does completely support that idea.
And people keep going, well, you can't travel faster than the speed of light. Well, you don't necessarily have to. There's ways of folding space. There's ways of creating a bubble of gravity around yourself so that the universe moves around you instead. There's all these
That's the way they look at it more,
ways.
From what they've seen.
And like this is easily theoretically possible. Like, so to the point where they've actually done the mathematics to find out how easy it is to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's not questionable anymore. And the way
they
would be
understand
a big ring.
Yeah, because it's like they understand the ideas, but they don't have like the means to create it, basically.
Yeah. Also, as I say, it would require require a ring. Okay, so like if you've got a ring like that going through space and you've got a central object in it, and that's what's producing this field where it sort of compresses the universe in front of it and expands the universe behind it, forcing it through faster than the speed of light. That's the theory.
I was going to say, because when you said that before, like you can't go faster than the speed of light. Well, who says you can't? What? Who says you can't?
Yeah, the thing is, you can't. You cannot travel faster than the speed of light, but you don't have to. Yeah. There's other ways of getting around that. There's other theoretical ways to get around it. It's like even wormholes. Like a lot of people say that wormholes, if you traveled into a wormhole, you'd come out on the other side as if you'd travel that distance anyway, but for you, it would have been instantaneous. So the time still would have passed as if you'd gone from there to there at light speed. But for you, it wouldn't have taken any time at all. Now, that's possible, but it's also possible that we don't know the physics yet, or we haven't figured out the actual way that calculation works. We've got a lot of very good, robust calculations, but we still don't know everything about the universe.
Yeah, at the best, they're guesstimates, basically.
Exactly. Now.
Good muting there.
Yeah. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So there's this type of craft that you can have, as I say, and it's a ring-based object. And apparently, for ages they thought, not possible to do this, because the amount of fuel you would need would be like the size of Jupiter. You would need amount of nuclear mass the size of Jupiter to keep this thing fucking running. And then a few years later, after that, someone else looked into it and they were like, hang on a second. What happens if you start mucking with a few bits here and there? And then they sort of decided, instead of a circle, why don't we try an ellipsis instead? Like an oval. Almost, you know? And they sort of reran the calculations in that scenario, and it took about a quarter of the amount of fuel.
I still assume that's still a hell of a lot of fuel.
Still a huge amount of fuel.
Yeah.
But that goes to show that it's like anything else. Something starts off as impossible, and then the more you learn, the more you tweak the design, the more it becomes possible. When the Wright brothers first took off in a fucking plane made of like wood and scrap, there's no fucking way on earth they could have predicted that people would be flying a fucking Blackbird at skimming the top of the fucking atmosphere, spy planing it down on top of other stuff so fast that a intercontinental ballistic missile can't catch up with the fucking thing.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Well, not an intercontinental one, but one of the ones that's literally is designed to take down a plane. We'll just fly up behind it and just...
Man, if you can outrun a missile, that's cool either way.
Yeah, it's obscene, that fucking thing.
Well, that's I've said this all along. I've said this like 10 years ago when I used to have chats with like my mate who's like all like up like in America doing like all the kind of like chemistry and theoretical physics and all that stuff now. He always used to have that frame of mind to me that like we understand everything now, everything we know now, that's just how it is. Like we're at the end of understanding in regards to the physical world, I guess.
Yeah, that's so dumb because there's people at the turn of the century. There were people at the turn of the century who were like, everything that needs to be invented or can be invented has been invented. We have steam trains. We have more. We have the telegram. There's no way that technology could possibly advance to a level beyond this. We are truly the peak of all technology. And then someone went, fuck you, internet, dude. I mean, internet, cars, fucking planes, this, that, the other. Like,
because you're on about like the Victorian kind of age, aren't you, when you got like all that kind of stuff? I think it's that kind of time, isn't it? Something like that. And to be fair, for them, going from what they did before, when they had like no electricity, nothing, going to that, I'm sure it felt like it. But
exactly. That's it, though, isn't it? That's exactly the same thing. Because I know a lot of people who seem to think it's over, but I constantly think in my head, like, look back and see when you saw like your granddad or your great granddad in a photograph at some point.
Yeah.
When they were roughly like 20 or 30, your age, roughly. And they're sat there and they're wearing that big billowy shirt and they've got those really thick shoes on and they're all wearing those sorts of really high up fucking socks and shit like that. And there's fucking like sheep and things behind them in the background in the middle of a fucking street in a city or something like that.
And that's normal. They've always got this kind of look on their face where they look like,
yeah. And it's
kind of true.
Like, just look at that for a second, and then imagine what it looks like now in comparison. Just look at that as a flash. Now, that's one person's lifetime. That is going to happen again. There is no way at the end of our lifetime we're going to look back on now and go like, well, it's amazing that nothing got any further with AI or anything like that. It's amazing that we all just got to this dead end where Facebook and Zoom calls were the absolute pinnacle of what we could do with technology.
Yep.
It's so stupid. We're going to get to that age and we're going to look back on photographs of ourselves now and think, oh man, how quaint it is that we were all still driving cars that looked like that. How amazing it was that we still didn't have holograms hanging on every street corner and shit like that. How amazing is it that you couldn't just go to Mars on holiday or some shit. That shit is all down the fucking line. And if you don't think it is, then you just simply aren't imaginative enough to put yourself into that position.
I struggle with it because it's not even imaginative enough, because at the same time, it's like we said, it's just literally how it's always gone. We've always tried, a lot of the stuff you said then, at first glance, when you say it, it sounds like really futuristic stuff, but there's already versions of it that exist already, like the holograms and that. You know, we already have freaking Tupac performed. I don't know. Like
there's a German circus that has replaced all of its live animals with holographic animals. They have a giant screen that sort of goes around the entire ring, and it projects the elephants in the ring around it, so that wherever you're looking, it's as though it was walking around the ring with the trainers and shit.
So the audience can actually see it as well.
Yeah, they don't need glasses or anything. They just look through, and there's a holographic fucking elephant in the ring.
That would be trippy as fuck if you were high.
How fucking rad is that? I swear that was from a fucking movie. I swear I saw something like that in a movie at some point, where it was like some futuristic, like, Cirque du Soleil, and they had fucking holograms flying over the top of them. Might have even been from a game, but like, that shit is happening now. It's only a basic form of it, but it's happening now, and it's such a joke that people can't imagine further into the future than just, oh no, it's impossible. It's impossible.
Well, I think it's going to kind of get like forced upon it now, because the way, like with the aliens, for example, that's a huge thing that realistically should kind of make people realize there's a lot more to the, like everything than we may like to think there is at the moment. I like to think that would make everyone realize with technology too. I don't know. I don't understand thinking a lot of the time. I don't understand still right now when I tell people and show people any of this alien stuff, why they're not, like, if they didn't know about it at all before, and then they've seen this going in completely raw, why they're not like, oh my God, that's amazing. I showed my children at the weekend, and they were into it. They were really into it. They had the reaction I wanted from people.
But kids are. This is the thing as well. Like, it gets beaten out of a lot of people over time. They just stop being interested in it because it's like, oh well, whenever you bring it up, people sort of look at you funny, or oh, is it all that important? Can I just watch the football and this?
Exactly,
it's like, don't you understand how much more interesting this shit is? Don't get me wrong. If you want to watch the football, watch the fucking football. But afterwards, get yourself down into some deep, dark fucking Brian May. You know, the fucking not Brian. Is it no Brian Cox? Not Brian May. That's also Queen. That's cool as well. Go for that.
I was thinking of James May from Top Gear and Grand Tour. No. Why are you going to watch him?
No. Brian Cox.
They're the fun ones.
Brian fucking Cox. You know those fucking shows like, just the general space shit that he does. Every single one of them.
Star Talk and that, but that's the other dude, Grass Tyson.
But it's so fucking interesting, man. He talks about entropy, the rule of the universe, that basically is just saying over time everything is being stripped down to its base atoms. And that's what life is. Life is just a desperate attempt to stop entropy. Because, like,
so
life is literally the exact opposite of death. So I'll explain, right? So entropy happens naturally. So if you've got a car, eventually the car starts to rust over time. Even if it's in a vacuum of space, eventually it will start to deteriorate because it will just bounce into one particular particle here or there. Something will happen. And then it will be returned to its particulate matter. It will be turned to rust and all these other sort of prime components, all of the rubber from the city, all of it will just return to carbon base elements. And then that will then get just spread around the universe, and eventually that happens to everything in the universe till the point where everything's just this big mess of particles. There's nothing really binding anything together in any real way. It's all just nothing, basically.
Everything is just stuff pushed together, essentially, anyway.
But life does something very different. It sort of conglomerates those particles. Like, your body is like, what is it, 75 or 85% water, something silly like that. You're a huge amount of water. But there's iron, there's copper, there's calcium, there's zinc, there's all of these different things that are making up your body, and that's all being held there and taken taken in as a way to sort of, keep you going. But at the same time, it's holding the form of the universe together for a little bit longer. All of those little bits that make you up are being held in this unit that contains all of these different things. It's slowing entropy, even if it's only for your lifetime. It's slowing the entropy of what makes you you, if that makes sense.
Wait, what's slowing the and that word?
Just you being you. Because you being you is keeping all of those elements in this tight, sturdy little package. You're not falling apart. You're not disintegrating.
If it's always just a natural thing, though, such as his life, then it's all just kind of works hand in hand anyway. You're not really slowing it down because
it does
kind of work together anyway.
Yeah. I mean, eventually everything falls to entropy, regardless. But it's like this isn't real science, by the way. This is a very philosophical way of looking at science.
Okay.
It's just like what is the point of life? There's multiple reasons. One of them is to, as I say, potentially slow down entropy, so that the universe can weirdly live a bit longer. And another one is sort of the universe studying itself, which of course it can't do if it's all just particles. But if it puts shit together to make some form of life, then that life can look back at it and go, what makes this? It's like the human being studying the brain. We don't know how the brain naturally works. We are the universe studying itself. We don't know how the universe necessarily works, but we're gradually figuring it out.
I like that more. That it's not a case of what is the universe, or we are the universe. The universe is everything. The universe is everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
But at the same time, I am fully behind the idea that because that's basically what is the meaning of life. And the meaning of life is there is none. There's none.
There is none.
There is none.
Nah.
The meaning of life is you die. But it doesn't mean it can't be fun.
The meaning of life, realistically, is what you choose to put onto it. That's what's important. It doesn't matter about, what
I don't even know if
God has planned for you. It doesn't matter what fucking, Cthulhu wants you to cut up next for his fucking sacrifice. It doesn't matter if the universe is a cold, empty, soulless place where nothing ever happens or changes and humans are just born to live and die. None of it matters.
A quick sidebar. A quick little sidebar. I just realised there's probably more, or at the very least, just as much evidence proving God as there is proving Cthulhu.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly the same level, and that's why Cthulhu's strong. Yeah. Well, there really is it's very much a sort of dwelling beneath kind of deity.
I can't even remember which one he is. I just know the name, but I know I got it right.
Big gribbly one with a lot of faces.
And they all look like that.